Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about a data structure known as a map. Now, in general, a map is a data structure where you have data values that are accessed not by an index like 0, 1, 2, or 3, but by some other value known as a key. We're putting data into a map into key value pairs. That's generally how a map works. It turns out in Python, there's already a structure that is defined and ready for you to use that is a map. We call this a dictionary. As you can see here, with these comments, dictionaries use key value pairs rather than indexes. Dictionaries are mutable, like lists, meaning after you define it, you can make changes to it. You can change the elements within a dictionary. You can add new elements to it. Now, dictionaries are also ordered. Once you set up a dictionary with your key value pairs, those key value pairs stay in the same order. In earlier versions of Python, dictionaries were not ordered. And I believe our textbook might say that they're not ordered, but the textbook is basing that on using a way earlier version of Python. I'm currently using Python 3.12, but I believe this was true as early as Python 3.9 or 3.10, or maybe even before that. But the main thing is, if you just installed Python, you probably have Python 3.12. And in that version, dictionaries are ordered. Now, how do you create a dictionary? Well, there's many ways to do it. I'm going to show you one way. The key thing is, when you create a dictionary in a Python program, you put the elements within curly brackets. Remember, for a list, you use square brackets. For a tuple, you use parentheses. For a dictionary, you use curly brackets. Now, let's look at the elements inside this dictionary. Here's one element. Now, like I said, when you have a key value pair, when you designate these key value pairs, the key comes first, the value associated with that key comes second. So in this case, I'm calling this dictionary zips, that's its name. And each key is a zip code, and I'm making that a string. Now you might be thinking, well, couldn't you just not put the quotes around it, just do a number 77449? No, you can't. A rule in Python is the key values must be immutable objects, and a string is immutable. So whatever value you do for the keys must be immutable. I believe the keys also have to be unique. You can't have duplicate keys in a dictionary. Now, after you do the key, you put a colon, and then you put the value that is associated with that key. In this particular case, my value is a list containing a population of a metro area and the metro area I'm talking about. So remember, with a list, in this list, I have an integer and a string. Now, your value that goes in the key does not have to be a list. It can be one single value like an integer or a floating point or something of that nature. The good news is values that go with keys are allowed to be mutable. The keys must be immutable, but the values that go with the keys are allowed to be mutable. You can change those. So therefore, I just have three elements in this dictionary. One for Houston, Texas. Here's a zip code that goes with New York, and a third zip code that goes with Chicago. Now, one way to display everything in a dictionary is by using a for loop. Now, as you can see here, I've set up a for loop whose loop variable is named key. And once again, I'm using our friend, the in statement. So for each key in zips, this will interpret this as to say, okay, just get a hold of each key in this dictionary, and then we'll access the elements of the dictionary using that key. So to do that, here's what I say. So inside this for loop, I say the zip code. So here I'm displaying the actual value of the key. So that would be the zip code. And then we'll say in the, okay, now here I'm accessing the dictionary. Zips is the name of the dictionary. Key is the name of the key. So in this case, you would just, you put the key value in square brackets or square brackets to access it. Now that gets you to the value associated with this particular key. In this particular case, in this program, the key happens to be a list. So since I want to display the city I'm talking about, the metro area, I need to access index 1 because in this list, index 0 is an integer, that's the population of the metro area, and index 1, the second element, is the name of the city. So I want to display the city right here. So we say key bracket 1. That'll get me the city. And then over here, I have showing the population. I have zips bracket key. That gets me to the element that goes with the key. And then index 0. That will get me the population of that metro area. And so when I run this, here's what I get. As you can see, the zip code 77449 in the Houston, Texas metro area has this population. Here's the line for New York, and there's the line for Chicago. Now, just like a list and a tuple, a dictionary has several different functions built in that you are allowed to use. To get a look at those functions, I recommend, once again, you go to the Files area of Canvas, go to the Files area, go to the Gaddis folder, and go to the Chapter 9 PowerPoint slides. Those will tell you everything you need to know about dictionaries. They will also tell you about another data structure known as sets that is also covered in Chapter 9. There'll be a separate video on sets. But for dictionaries, aka maps, and sets, you'll want to look at the Chapter 9 PowerPoint slides in the Gaddis folder, in the PowerPoints folder, in the Files area of Canvas. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Okay. That is everything you need to know about maps, aka dictionaries, in Python. As always, if you have any questions, please send me an email at kmuldrow@lbcc.edu.